meeting order. Resolution.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Purcell. Here. Hussein.
Here.
Mortimer.
Here.
Hudson.
Here.
Alberts.
Here.
Bass.
Here.
Agenda approver.
So made.
You have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again? Citizen participation. Anybody like to come up and talk to council?
I talked to Tony a little bit, and he told me to come in and talk to you guys. When we did the derby, we said when we get back to the community, get back to the park, we would like to put in a 9-foot by 50 concrete pad on the loose side to put bleachers on. There's only one small pad there. The bleachers sit on the dirt. I have guys that volunteer to do the concrete work, and all construction has donated the concrete for the pad. I just need approval to do it on y'all's record.
Everything good?
I'll make the motion to let it go, because I was down there and they gave more bleachers around there.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, this was briefly talked about at one of the park board meetings, and Terry was gonna go out and get some bids to see what it would cost. So it hasn't went back to park board, but I don't think that's a major ordeal. We do need this pad, it's gonna be donated to the city. So yeah, I asked Terry to go ahead and just present to the council. We need it, everybody knows where the current bleachers are at, it's in the same vicinity, so.
I'm trying to get it done before the fair, and I'm hoping I can get it done Saturday.
Well, we have a motion.
I'll second that motion, Jeff.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Again? Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, appreciate it.
Anybody else like to come up and speak? Come on, Debbie.
This is just a request or proposal. I was wondering if it would be possible when you post the agendas on the front of the building, if you could maybe click the little magic button and put that on the City of Cuba's Facebook page as well. Each agenda is posted.
Thank you. You want out? You none? All right, with the regular minutes of June 3rd, 2025.
I
Have a
make a
motion to approve.
motion to approve the minutes from
Second.
the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again? Exactly less than minutes of June 3rd, 2025. Have a motion?
So made.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Again? Bills to be paid.
Make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the bills? All in favor? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Again? Name of Creek Park primary plans. Kim.
I think you all have copies of this in your agenda, this will be a little better, bigger version of it.
Oh, so, we color for today.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Color for the mayor tonight.
Make mine big.
Little more color for the mayor, so it's- I get faster. So in front of you have two different drawings, set out for two main objectives, under the park, preliminary design proposal. The first was to kind of lay out a master plan for the park for some additional courts and other amenities in the future, and try to at least come up with a conceptual plan that can be used for planning and budgeting for years beyond. After we started that work, the concern was raised about ADA accessibility to the new playground equipment that's currently under construction. So in the past few weeks, we've gone back out and did some additional surveying in the existing parking lot in front of the pool, and tried to determine what the most economical way to achieve ADA compliance and ADA parking in that lot that would provide an ADA path to the new equipment. So I think I shared pretty good news with you all. The striping, as you know, in that existing parking lot is a little bit awkward. The area where the existing ADA spaces were striped is certainly not compliant, and it's a long way from the sidewalk that would access this playground equipment. However, the existing asphalt directly in front of the southwest corner of the pool house building is very flat. It's surveyed out to be under 2% both directions, which would be ADA compliant without actually having to tear any of that asphalt out. So this plan that you have in front of you would be a proposed restriping plan of the parking lot in front of the pool, and then a plan for construction or improvements to the existing sidewalk that would ultimately lead to the playground equipment and also tie into the future parking lot to the north and the asphalt trail that currently runs to the pavilion to the south. So this plan was presented to the park board last Tuesday evening. I think they recommended it for your consideration tonight for approval. I've talked with Bill Dotson about how to budget these improvements as well. I think there's probably some figures that have been shared from the street department of what it would cost the city to do this work. But as we're proposing this on this piece of paper today, we would seal coat that existing parking lot just to cover all the old striping. You get a little bit of additional life out of the parking lot as well by doing that. And then restriping in this vein to achieve the ADA compliance and an accessible route to the new playground equipment. So you'll see there's a hatched area kind of in front of the pool. That's primarily just to keep folks from driving too close to that sidewalk. As it is right now, that sidewalk is flush with your pavement. It wasn't as much of a problem before when the parking was arranged, 45 degrees from what it is on this sheet of paper. So we left a buffer strip there just so folks don't get too close to that sidewalk when we maintain an access path there. And then the other, as that turns the corner and goes south, that basically you're striping out your ADA aisle that would ultimately tie into the ADA compliant sidewalk that would go over the playground. Once again, fairly economical. We can salvage the existing asphalt that's there, do some restriping, clean that up. That parking lot, the way folks park in that parking lot was a little haphazard anyway, so I don't think it causes really any, negative loss of parking spaces or anything like that. Just allows you to use this maybe a little more functionally for ADA compliance.
Can we ask a question?
Of course.
Is this basketball court, is it in addition to the one that's down?
Yes, so we can transition to the page. This is rotated from what I showed the park board last week in color, but the other piece of paper that I shared is kind of a general layout of the additional courts that we set out to try to at least allow space for within the park. So there is a basketball court on the opposite side of the pool building. I think the intention would be to leave that. This would just be a newer basketball court. And then as you can see, there's a triple set of pickleball courts, basically between that existing asphalt trail that runs between the park and the pool. What we're proposing on this plan, and what we discussed with the park board, was trying to provide some access and additional parking for those pickleball courts as well as the playground equipment without having to heat up the parking spaces in the pool or in front of the pool. So, but then there was concern about making that a through driveway all the way down to the pavilion to the south, just from a pedestrian safety standpoint. So this plan has been updated since last Tuesday's presentation to the park board. It basically creates a parking lot between the pickleball courts and the pool that would be used primarily for the court and playground use. And then basically would have bollards or a gate on the south end of that, and then that would transition directly into the existing path that's just a shared use path, so a pedestrian friendly path, but you wouldn't allow any vehicular traffic past the south end of that new parking lot.
Well, I have another question. Do you think that it's gonna work out having the teenagers there just a few feet from the little kids?
I think that's a great question. I mean, I think ultimately that would be, a decision that the park board, you all would need to make. I think, it is very common, especially with the proposed pavilion sites that we're showing for future construction, it's common for families to have kids of different ages that are, maybe some are playing basketball, some are playing playground equipment. So I don't think that's uncommon. Times of day when those would be used are probably a little bit different as well. But ultimately, if that is a concern of the board, we could look into some other locations of that.
Well, I went and looked at playgrounds in St. James, Owensville, Sullivan, and Bourbon, and all of them spread out different age groups to different areas.
Sure.
So there's no fighting or complaining the kids are right there and you didn't give them a big space to run around around the playground. And they're gonna be going in the pickleball courts and in the basketball courts.
So we want to try to open that up for some additional green space, kind of to the west and perhaps to the south of the playground, just to give a little more room for the kids to run.
And they're also in front of the playground, which is going to obstruct the view of the playground from the road where people could keep an eye on everything and make sure everything is safe. So that's gonna create places where you can't see from the road. So you couldn't just ride down the road and look there and see if anybody was there who couldn't be there. I don't like the structures really close to the playground.
Okay.
And when I looked online, it said that you could not create places where people could hide close to the playground.
Right. No, I understood that. I do understand that.
I think the intent of this was to kind of limit how much new trails and sidewalks we have to build in the park.
Well, there's a place that he shows over here where the old pavilion was. There's a driveway, a parking lot, and a bathroom, and a walking trail that goes right to the other side of the park. If you could put the pickleball courts over there, they would be away from the children, and that would be an area for adults.
Sure. No, we can definitely look at that. So, once again, as a goal of this was to make sure we had basically room within the footprint of the park to fit all of this stuff, or at least provide some preliminary suggestions of where those can go. So what we can do, we can take that feedback tonight and maybe look at some alternative locations. The pickleball courts and the basketball courts are arranged there, primarily first off to kind of provide access to this additional parking lot that we talked about, but furthermore, just to kind of capitalize on that relatively flat area that you have there in the park, without having a whole lot of additional site work necessary. But, we did confirm that the rest of the park, kind of the lower area of the park adjacent to the creek is not in the floodplain. You wouldn't have any building restrictions there. So if we did want to try to move pickleball courts and perhaps basketball courts, do you think, to the other side of the creek?
I don't think they should be near the little kids because teenagers say and do stuff that the little kids shouldn't see and hear.
Sure.
I'm just thinking about the safety of the kids.
Sure. No, that's fair.
As an adult though that has kids and adults that are ones that are wanting to play a lot of pickleball, it's a new thing, seeing with the older crowd and older people, they would probably want to be up there where they can see their kids playing.
Well, if they're playing pickleball, they're not watching their kids play. I can tell you that. They might say, well, I'm going to play here, you just play there, but they wouldn't be keeping an eye on their kids.
It's also fenced in right now.
It is, and there's been discussion about, is that just an open fence or do you want to do vinyl slats and things like that? I mean, I do think, based on the height of that playground equipment, the pickleball courts for the most part wouldn't obscure the view from certainly
Well,
from
they
the
would
street.
the bottom of it
But
where people could be.
that's a
They
great
wouldn't the top
point.
of it,
Yeah,
but they would
sure.
the bottom.
No, it's a good point. And, if you did want to try to make those pickleball courts a little more secure and perhaps fence them and do some kind of screening or vinyl slats in the fence, you wouldn't want that to be directly in front of the playground equipment.
Yeah, if you could move that out of the direct line of that playground, so everybody going up and down the road could clearly see the playground and all around it and help keep it safe for the kids.
There is a fix for both of those. If you move your pickleball courts to where you put the basketball courts, do not put new basketball courts in. They have basketball courts down below that they utilize right now. Then you refurbish them, do something to save the money from the park and not put the basketball courts up there. It solves all your problems. The problem with going across the creek is you're putting in a new structure, which now means that you have to meet all the ADA requirements, which means the bathrooms down there would have to be redone to be ADA compliant for that section. Not only would that, the pickleball courts have to be ADA compliant, you have to build a parking lot over there within so much distance of that pickleball. So I don't think going across the creek would be an option unless we can fund that.
Right.
But if you move the pickleball courts way over here, away from where the basketball courts are, it opens up the view.
Yeah.
And then they're separate, and then the basketball courts are still down below where the kids can play basketball. And we don't spend money on brand new basketball courts.
Well, but the basketball court down below is actually undersized.
But we can alter that a little bit, correct? We got plenty of land out there, right?
No,
Well, you can, if you rearrange things a little bit, you could fix that basketball court down there and then have a half court outside of it.
well,
Are you just wanting to tell me what do you want now?
well, the idea was, because the basketball court's already a popular thing for the park, so the idea was to introduce a second basketball, a full-size court into the park to allow for more basketball activities, because, yeah, that one down there gets used quite regularly.
And why it gets used is because it's away from everybody else. It's not by the little kids, and it's not by the adults who would be having comments about the teenagers in the basketball court. They were placed down there, I'm sure, to keep them away from the younger kids in the pool. And they have their own driveway, their own parking. That's why that does so well there.
So that big field, you're wanting to leave that just a big field from now on?
No, you want to move the pickleball over there. Take the
But
basketball.
it's a
court
very
down.
large, I mean, it's a very large location. I mean, we could push the basketball and the pickleball closer to Dutton.
I think there was mention when we put that big playground in, that's just one big piece. Maybe in the future, we could buy smaller pieces to put around that big piece to make a bigger play area for the kids. And that would take up a lot of that space. But the pickleball shouldn't be blocking the view of the playground so that we can keep an eye on it and make sure everything's okay.
I too also talked to a couple towns around, and they say they don't put the big kids with the little kids.
Sure. No, that is a great point. So if we were to move the pickleball courts directly to the west, slide them left on this sheet, and away from the playground equipment, we could probably move them closer to the corner too, closer to the street. Would we want to provide a sidewalk off the north side of that parking lot that is directly to the pickleball courts that kind of keeps you from having to walk through the kids area then?
That would probably be good, and you could put a fence around it to keep the kids out, because if you don't, and they start hearing that noise, guess where all the kids are gonna be?
Sure. Okay, that's a good point.
And you know, the bigger kids that you drive, and sometimes they wanna drive through the playground, you know, and, yeah.
The only other thing I see, Ken, is that new parking lot doesn't have any ADA parking in it.
Right.
So we have to address that issue. And then there's gonna be a drainage problem from the pickleball court area across that sidewalk in front of the playground. Because it's already holding water if you've been down there lately. Since they've done what they've done, or whatever, the water is really standing to them. If you were standing at the playground in the pool house, it's really standing there on the left-hand side. So I have a feeling after the pickleball, if they move pickleball course, it's not, it probably won't affect it.
Sure, but we might want to think about, so the other thing I forgot to mention too, I'm glad you brought that up. There is that ditch that runs west of the existing pool parking lot. It's kind of a hazard. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's not code compliant or anything like that, but it's a bit of a hazard. So what we're proposing to do as part of that would be basically put a band on that culvert pipe and extend that all the way along the perimeter of that parking lot. and go ahead and fill that in flush. And obviously we'll have to make sure it's positively drained, but fill that in where, you know, it's not a trip hazard, it's not a hazard in the dark, it's not a hazard if somebody drives off the parking lot, especially now that we're gonna be kind of heading against that edge. So what we might wanna look at as we move to future phases of improvements out there, especially if we're talking hardscape, if we can make some accommodations to maybe tie in some storm pipes or some additional culverts, you know, around any of these pickleball courts, or at least make sure maybe we could get a drainage swell over to a spot where it makes sense to pick that up. I think we would definitely want to look at that as we kind of plan for future construction there.
I still think that pickleball might be, you don't normally put different age groups together, and I understand maybe parents would try to do that, but I can guarantee you if they're playing, they're not looking at their
But they're
kids.
within earshot of their kids hurt.
They might be in earshot, but it needs to be, I think it needs to be,
If we move it over here, like Cam said.
yeah, it'd have to be farther than the basketball court over and maybe toward the.
I wonder if we don't even think about rotating. You know, you can almost push it up in that corner.
That's what I think. Well, the restrooms, they're gonna open those restrooms up, right, in the back of the pool house, and they.
I would assume so. I mean, I don't know how you guys operate them right now. but I
Yeah,
would
there's
assume-
two restrooms there and the ones at the bottom.
Are they wide enough for wheelchair to get through the doors, maybe
Which one's that?
the bathrooms at the back of the pool house?
I mean, they're full size,
They should be.
4 foot 8 doors.
I didn't notice the signage on them, but I think they're,
They got handrails and stuff in them.
Alright, so, thank you,
yeah,
Cameron.
we can slide some.
I
slide
think,
some things.
I think as far as the layout of the park, I think this is a good start. I think we'll have good input if you don't mind going back and,
Sure, absolutely.
kind of giving us another option. But we do have the upgrades for the park, the pool's parking lot and making it ADA accessible to the playground equipment. So I did talk to Bill, and just so the council's aware, he got me 2 bids for doing the parking lot ceiling, and this is from Diamond Ceiling. The first one was to do the entire parking lot, that's, you know, from Belton all the way around everything, that was $3,753. The second one was just to do the back half, where the parking spaces are currently, and that was $1,800. And then his proposal to do the sidewalk that Cameron's presented here,
2 sidewalks, right? Here and here.
yes,
Okay.
the sidewalk from the playground equipment to the pool parking lot at the correct slope, along with, he's got 40 tons of base rock, a 20-foot culvert to fill in this drainage swell that Cameron was talking about, the dangerous drainage swell. And the 17 yards of concrete, he's got $5,170 to do all that.
About 9,000.
So if you did the entire parking lot and the concrete,
That's to strike the parking lot too, right? I think.
Correct, this is also to put the parking lot.
Still the parking lot, stripe it.
Yeah, it's about 38 there, about 52, so yeah, right at 9,000.
Yeah.
So, and I have talked to Jennifer, and if we can get it done before this fiscal budget's up, the park has got a little bit of reserve money built into 25's budget that can pay for this. So,
There's gonna be a motion to do.
yes, I'll make the motion that we move forward on this because we need to get this.
which one? Do the whole parking lot?
Oh, yes, I motion to do the whole parking lot. I mean, like Cameron says, gonna buy some more lifeguard pavement. It needs to be done. We already got the guy coming out. I mean, yeah, it's an extra $2,000 to be done with it, not to come back.
I agree.
So yeah, my motion is to seal the entire parking lot, stripe it, and get the concrete sidewalks in and get that drainage ditch. It's just from the sidewalk to the south, 20 foot.
Yeah, so we could talk about that. So the proposed park plan showing eventually that culvert to be extended even further. But 20 foot gets you past the ADA spaces.
And how long is that?
That's
The sidewalk gonna be?
8 foot.
8 foot?
Okay.
8. It's 8.
Fine.
Yeah. could take it. So,
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Thanks, Jim. All right, we have treatment plant bid, UV system parts. Come on, Dave.
I need some, UV bulbs and some of the connectors that they plug into, to keep my UV system going so we can meet our limits for the state. Just asking for $8,375.
is that all you're asking?
That's all I'm asking for, yeah.
You only have that bid?
That's just a drive buddy. I only got one bid because Xylem is that's the brand of UV system we have. I mean, you don't mix and match with these things, so.
Well, I know we need these, this is in the budget, so I'm gonna make a motion that we move forward with purchasing these lamps and lamp inserts, ASAP.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, David. Fund balance transfer for YS 2023. We'll catch it up, Jennifer, what's 21, now we're 23, so 22.
Yeah, that's me. Hopefully this is the last one. I need to transfer $30,000 from the library to the general fund to clear fund balance that was set to the general fund. There could be additional transfers if we need to those in 24. I'd like to hold off until we get the books further along in that 24 books, but for right now, it's 23's books and get those finalized. I need to make this transfer as of June 30th, 2020. June 30th, 2023.
I will motion that we do the fund transfer $30,000 from electric to general.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Okay, now we're on to budget revisions as of 6/30/2025. We're going to adjust revenues to account for the increase in natural gas revenue. Some other small revenues, we're going to adjust expenditures to account for increase in overtime pay in administrative and treatment plant, increase in salaries in the police department. We're going to increase slightly in waters and taxes to electric, water, and sewer, and some various small expenditures. It is our fourth and final revision of the fiscal year. I'm afraid I must report to the council that our spending exceeds the amount of money that we are taking in. To continue to balance the remainder of the fiscal year, we need to budget an additional $30,118. While I was hopeful that our third revision will last us through the end of the fiscal year, we're reporting that overspending in new funds. To achieve a balanced budget, we must look at interfund transfers to cover the cost of spending. I want to continue to stress controlling the cost without cutting the quality of services to your customers. Amendments should only be made if there is something that cannot wait until the next fiscal year. Unfortunately, in most of our funds, we're not able to follow that. We still have to make revisions to get us through. The city of Cuba should not continue doing the practice of utilizing reserve fund balances. This practice is not sustainable for the future of the city. I would like to report that many departments are continually doing much better at this practice. However, this is something that will not happen overnight and will take time to complete.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
On the adjusted expenditures to account for increase in overtime pay and administrative and treatment plant, was that a result of the raises or what was?
A little bit of both, a little bit of just, stuff that we probably didn't foresee. There was, a motion to allow myself overtime, to work, to getting the books caught up, so that was under budgeted expenditure.
Can I bring that fence up here or the next one? I'd like to put a fence in this budget for.
No, we're not to that yet. Next one.
Okay.
So, in the beginning budget, of the fiscal year, we had, where we were gonna end the year at $904,510. We've had to increase that budget by $821,559 to end the year with $82,951. this revision to get us through the end of the fiscal year.
We have a motion? At first, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
So, the fiscal year 2026 budget, I know it's long. This is the first official document of your 2026 budget compared to what we've had before. There's table of contents to go through everything. We have a budget message, a budget summary, budget brief, an overview of the budget, fiscal policies, revenue predictions and assumptions, expenditure predictions and assumptions, the salary proposals in there. You'll see fund summary and fund balance changes. You'll see the actual report, and then your capital project listing. I'm just gonna read you the last, kind of go over the budget message. The conclusion of it. So I laid out a plan before you that you're structured in a way that gives the city time to start building back its reserves, balances in departments that need to have reserves. It also sets forth a plan to give the citizens of Cuba a good quality of services while controlling our expenditures. It provides a balanced budget for every department in the city of Cuba. I appreciate the work of all department heads, the mayor, and the board of aldermen for their efforts in the preparation and adoption of the completion of this budget. The process of working on a budget is not something that happens overnight. This process is something that begins in January of each year, all to be completed by June 30th each year. This is a very challenging effort, and we have a great team working to achieve this goal. As you can see from the budget before you, many hours of thought and care were put into this document. It's not something that we all have to take and get done overnight. So I think there are a couple items that need, before we can even pass this document, we can think about it and we have to discuss. So.
Well, I'd like to put a fence in that budget.
So, that one's number one.
A fence for what?
Yeah. A holding tank over here, the water over on by North Eagle is or something. We have to go back to the retention pond.
The retention pond is your subdivision.
Where they built their retention ponds on that back property, it's been brought up and suggested that fence should be placed around it.
Do we have to make a motion for that, put the budget, or can she just put the budget?
I think you should make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion.
Which one are you?
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Over that detention pond over there, I don't know the road.
Shenandoah.
Huh?
Shenandoah.
Shenandoah. We have some kids playing in it, we have some animals playing in it, got a steep slope, the water goes up for a few hours, and it's hard rain, it goes back down, kids get trapped in it. So, I think we need to put a fence around that.
You got two of them over there, which one are you fencing? The one in front of Eva's or the
Eva,
one?
yeah.
Well, I said fourth.
Huh?
First or the second?
First one,
I thought you wanted the new one that they just put in.
no, it's just,
You want your original?
water drops.
Well, Tony, I just told you wrong. I thought you told me the new one. So
You're
this
talking
is-
about the detention pond out there surrounded by the roads.
Yeah,
That'll be right next to the road, one right next to it.
but you know, I forgot about that.
You
We
might not have heard yet.
fence both of them,
Okay.
one holds water completely.
So the factors that I think the city should consider are just the inherent dangerousness of the pond and how long does this retention pond hold water? When water accumulates there, are the slopes steep? Is it in a residential area where you're gonna have children nearby? If all of those factors are present, that increases your potential for something bad to happen at some point. And the city needs to consider that the cost of a fence is, as we had this discussion briefly before the meeting, the cost of a fence is gonna be insignificant compared to potential liability if something were to happen to a child.
I think we need them in both of them. I forgot about the one that is like a pond, hold all the time.
Is it behind the subdivision?
You what?
Is it behind the subdivision, that other one?
The other one is,
The new one is behind the subdivision.
Behind.
Because this one is right there in the row of houses.
Yes.
There's
I
houses
make a
across
motion
from it.
where you can go get bids from Bensonville locations.
and we gotta do both. I forgot about the whole water.
That's my motion. Just second that one. I'll second that one.
And this is not something we can do, we need a company.
You'll have to have a fencing company do it. Yeah, fencing company, we can't do that.
You said bids for both
For
of the
both,
times?
so retention ponds. Can't have one.
Are we talking just a chain link fence?
That's not big, I like size.
First one's gonna
Along the sidewalk out there in the subdivision?
No, along the street,
go on the street.
at the end of the street.
There's no sidewalks there? Yeah, I guess.
It's just like, Tony's is like a big pond.
Yeah, I know what it is. I just have never seen a fence around a retention pond. So,
It is deep and it does come up, so there's potential hazard.
And we've had two complaints about it, about the kids playing in it.
I seen
Take a roll call now.
I seen fences around little concrete, culverts, in St. Louis, where the water runs.
yeah, 'cause they don't want to go in the culvert, we all know that.
Yeah.
Take a roll call on this one.
Your motion's just for going out for bids.
To go for
I
the.
mean, we're talking 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 foot?
Well, keep in mind, you have to have the budget approved by June 30th, so we need to have an estimate to put in the budget, so we're only gonna have the budget approved before June 30th, you want your bids back by then. So, I mean,
We can't have it yet, but we don't know. Well, we have a fencing company right here in town.
so you can do your,
It's very
you
quick.
can go out for bids for next year's budget, but we'll have to have an amount to put in the budget before June 30th.
Get it over all tight tomorrow and tell them that's if they can give us an emergency bid on
We will, I will. We got till next meeting, they can get over and make that bid.
it. Yeah.
Alright.
Well, we need to know what we're talking about before we put it in there.
Well, they know because we called them one already and we had a bid.
Yeah, the one bid was 16,000, so
Is that the
you
big?
can get an estimate to put in your budget, and then when we're ready to do the project, you can send it out officially.
How big a fence was it?
I don't remember.
6 foot high.
4 foot.
It was 4.
Maybe
4 foot?
Yes, it did.
Well, 4 foot's no use to have a fence.
I know, that's what I'm saying, you're going to
Hey,
do their bid, 6 foot.
Very
You
small,
already got
but
4
they didn't have
foot.
6 foot.
We'll go out for bids, like you say, I'll give them back.
Well, that's 16 for a 4 foot, it'll probably be 20 for a 6 foot. The other one would be a little bit bigger, so we're probably looking at $50,000.
The fence at the gun range.
Say, this is life, we're not shooting it.
That's good, I guess I lost it. Yeah, and that was a tall fence, right?
You know, put signs around, say this is city property, not,
We put up private property signs.
well, that, a fence is climbable too. A fence does not protect you from litigation, just because you put a fence around it. So, yeah, maybe you will stop one kid from climbing, I don't know.
Well,
Kids
they
like
couldn't
climb.
take their bikes down there, which some of them are doing, they're riding their bikes down that steep hill, and there's mud down there. So a fence would keep them from taking their bikes down there.
The kind of fence with the barbed wire at the top.
Well, the next requirement is
They've been there 25 years.
wrapped around a road.
Ray said they've been there 25 years.
Nobody ever.
Let's take a roll call here, we're going out for bids, all right?
Purcell.
Yes.
Hussein. Mortimer. Hudson.
I mean, it's just bids, I'll entertain the bids, I entertain against the time for the fence. Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, can I say something now? Didn't the lawyer just tell us that if it was like that, that we could be liable if somebody gets hurt in there?
Well, the circumstances, if you have it with steep slopes, if it's going to hold water for any amount of time and it's close to a residential area, that's gonna increase the likelihood that you need to take some proper precautions for it. And I understand it may have been here for years under the circumstances, but all it takes is one time. And you you make reasonable efforts. I mean, if somebody really wants to get in the thing and climb over a fence, there's not much you can do about that, but then the city has made reasonable efforts.
You have to get bids for gate 2, so you get mowers in there and mow it. I'm not sure what year we go. If you, I mean, they mow it, they ride the banks, I mean, I mowed it. I mean, you gotta mow it.
I talked to Jerry, he's gonna get a gate there.
Yeah.
Get in the mower.
Also, let's get in there and clean out the drain. That's down.
No.
Well, we got to worry about that, you gotta fix that big opening along 19 right there by our new, the old ABC Investments, because there's a huge creek opening right there that I'm surprised we never rolled a car off.
There was a car in it.
Oh,
There was a car in it.
So,
All right, we're gonna move on here. Anything else, Denver?
No, we'll just have to set up a meeting next week, because one, we don't have the budget ordinance, and, do you have anything else that you guys need to change in this budget, because when we do it next week, it's gonna have to be for final.
Other than Jerry, a part-time guy, I don't know how the council feels about that, but for $67,000 for 3 months, I think Jerry needs a guy to put in that budget. So that'd be up, if I can get a first or second voter on that list.
Do we have the money to get it?
Can I say something? I've read this budget and read the revision of this budget. We're spending money faster than we're taking it in. It's just that simple. And we're gonna have to get some financial responsibility, or we're gonna be sitting here wondering what's gonna happen next. We just can't, out of whim, just decide that we're gonna do something. I mean, there's priorities that we're gonna have to address, and maybe we could have addressed a year ago, I'm not sure. But we're spending it, boys and girls, faster than we're making it.
Well, I believe that fencing pond, fence around it is the number one thing, but that is a must.
No, I'm not arguing that.
But we have to spend the money there.
Yeah, Mayor, I'm not arguing that part. I'm talking about everything in general. We need somebody with some fiscal responsibility, but maybe we need a committee from outside our city to help us decide, make plans and decide how we should do some of this stuff. I don't know. But I read the budget, read her comments, and you don't have the money, you can't grow it.
We agree.
That's just my take on this.
But if you recall, I believe the budget said we have a balanced budget of $200-something, and we're doing all right.
We're already debalancing it in the last 15 minutes.
It's on a safety issue for citizens.
I mean, I'll say this, we started out last year with $900,000, and we're ending the year with we're projected to end the year with 82. That $200,000, I'm not gonna tell you, I don't have good faith that I think that we're gonna end 2026 with $200,000 profit. I mean, I would like to think that that's what it's gonna be, but something always comes up that we have to do, and it's always gonna edge away at where we think we're going to end at. So, and whether it be a good thing or a bad thing that we have to do that with, that's why you need a little leeway there for emergency purposes.
I believe we do have leeway with the natural gas that's gonna be coming in, so we didn't budget in that, that we corrected. So I believe we have a few more dollars coming in that we got budgeted, so I believe we're pretty good.
That's true, Mayor.
Am I right, Ray?
Yeah, but you can't spend it till you get it.
Exactly, but we
Well,
know.
and you can't use natural gas as your savior because you only use so much from natural gas.
Well, like a general fund, electric, gas, water, yeah, sure.
But aren't we?
All right,
didn't you
let's
say
move on.
We're just transferring money. Didn't you just say we transferred money? So.
Yeah, that's a policy that we have to start developing because we're gonna get, if we hit an audit, we're gonna get hit, we're gonna get in trouble, and it's a policy that has to be developed where you have to make your transfers.
Wait, you've been helping Jerry out, haven't you?
Best I can.
Yeah.
All right, move.
Mayor, what do we, Jennifer, what do you want from us tonight?
I think we need to set up a meeting next week to pass this budget because it has to be done by June 30th, or you have to carry on with the budget that you have currently as of July 1st.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we need a
That's the
meeting,
bottom
we
line,
need a
right?
special meeting next week,
So you
and I don't
gotta
know
do
what
that
everybody's
first.
schedule is.
That's fine, you
You
don't
have
have
a
to set it up,
deadline.
and y'all can make it, well, that's
No,
all.
I do not, because I don't know what everybody's schedule is next week.
What's that one? I don't know, want to do it tonight, or? I don't want to use up.
We're here.
All right, we're here, set one for July.
No, it has
Oh,
to be
June.
next week. Next week.
I'm way behind.
You are.
It doesn't matter, when's our next?
It's not so.
I didn't know what we, can you go, yeah, everything.
So I'm not available on Monday. I can do Tuesday, the earlier we can be, the better. I cannot on Wednesday,
How about next Tuesday?
I cannot,
Well,
Thursday's iffy and I cannot on Friday.
How about you?
How about Tuesday?
You're in May.
I ain't made. Oh, stop. Hold on, okay.
So it would be. So
Maybe
it'd be-
later, 24th.
No, it would be June 24th.
That's right, so we can, right, 24.
So June 24th, I can do, what is a time that we can meet?
What time can everybody meet?
Just name it.
I'm just going to say the earlier the better for myself, but 4:30.
Just anytime for me.
You got to make.
You can't make it 4:30?
3:30, 4:30, and I'm here.
3 o'clock.
Well, you're, I mean, like I said, the earlier the better, I can do 4:30, 3:30, more fun.
3:30?
3:30.
3:30.
Okay.
All right,
Perfect.
3:30 on Tuesday the 24th.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
They'll put some overtime out of that budget.
There you go. Hey, I'm good with it, man, I'm good with it.
Now we got the airport hay cutting bid contract. Right, what do you got on that?
Well, I'm gonna get your part of this over, I got part of it, Mr. Pitts is the other part. So we're on that committee.
Let me go first. because
You go first.
Yours is the follow-up.
Yeah, mine's a follow.
We had a meeting with the, Mr. McAllister, EDA, McAllister Farms or something like that. He had made known to Travis that he was adamant he was not gonna cut the hay this year, even though he has a 5-year contract. So we called a meeting, had a meeting over at the airport, and he came in and he immediately was on the defensive that he was not cutting it. He broke some equipment last year, the grass was terrible, just a litany of excuses for not doing it. Then he told us that he got 90 bales off of there and he's never paid us for the 90 bales. He left the meeting when I asked him, okay, well, we're in the middle of hay season. We really don't have anywhere to go right now. We're in the middle of hay season. Are you going to finish out this year? He said, absolutely not. I'm not going to cut the hay this year. I said, and Ray told me, well, we have a contract with you. He got upset, got up and left the meeting. So he called me back and said, hey, I apologize for leaving the meeting the way he did. And said, well, I want to work with you, but I'm not operating under that contract. I'll cut the hay that I cut last year, and I'll pay you $5 a bale for it. I said, well, you haven't paid us for last year's bales, that were $12 a bale. And he said, so I asked him, I said, how many total bales did you get off of the property? And he came back and told me, let me pull it up so that it's a record. No. Because this will be on record. Came back and told us that he cut 47 off the airport, 20 off the waist, 14 off the bottom field, was 12. Anyway, he told us he cut 93 bales total at $12 a bale. That should have been $1,116, still owed from last year's cut. He also said that he did not line it or fertilize it like he was supposed to, and that if he did the $5 a bale, he still was not going to, even though he said he would, when he sent the paperwork over to me, there was nothing in there about lining or fertilizing. Then he came back to me and he said, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I only owe the city of Cuba $852. So I did the math. I said 852 divided by 12 is equal to 72 bales. You only got 72 bales off of all of the city property? He said yes. So he owes us, based on his numbers, $852 for the hay that he took off the field in 2024. I followed up the final comment with him that Mr. Bordemeyer and I are meeting later this afternoon to go over all the options and put together the presentations to the Cuba City Council. The Cuba City Council meetings are video recorded and covered in the local newspapers for transparency to the taxpayers. That said, the presentation will also include the 2024 overdue debt to the city from Mark McAllister, DBA M&L Farm Services, LLC. So please let me know if you pay that 2024 debt today, so I have time to remove it from the presentation. Have a great rest of your day. I contacted Lainey today, and she said that he never made an effort to come in and pay it. And that was done, Sunday was when we had our texting, so he has had opportunities to come and pay it and did not come and pay it. So that'll be, Lainey worked that today with Emily, so they're going to address that issue.
All yours, Judge. Well, number one is, the meeting was a complete farce, as far as I was concerned. The man came in, he wanted out of the contract. It was just that simple. And we sat there and debated for an hour, and we found out he didn't pay last year, he didn't line it, he didn't follow through on his own statement he gave us. He didn't follow through on anything that we had accepted, or the council at that time accepted. To me, that's the end of it. I've been in business all my life. Whether he signed it, they don't want it anymore or not, he walked away from that table with 5 witnesses, saying, I'm through with this, and threw it on the table. So that was it. So I went out, we talked to the people who've done it here before this. I asked, which is Frank Kaysen, you have the thing in front of you. Mr. Kaysen said he would go over, and he would, so we have to comply with FAA and get that, it's up 3 foot tall. We got an airport, they'll shut the airport down if we don't get it correct. That's just the airport. So we confirm with that, we conform with that, so back and say, Mr. Kaysen will go over and cut it and get it clean because he's done it before. But he's not going to do it, we're not going to pay him a cent. But he has 1 year in this contract to do it. That's this summer. He said as soon as the weather breaks, he'll take care of the problem, which is behind sale barn, the treatment plant, and out here. And that's done. Then we can, after that, my thoughts are, if we want to go to a 5-year contract and make it up for the next coming year, we can. Let's get rid of the problem now. But as far as taking Mr. McAllister back, I will vote no on that 14 different ways. And that's my thoughts. I think we ought to have Mr. Casey cut it. Hey, remove it. Then we're in compliance with the FAA. And this year, we didn't get the money paid for last year when we went out for bids. So why worry about this year?
Did you get anything in writing, Zach, quit, or?
No, we just got a verbal goodbye.
I'm reaching out to him tomorrow. I spoke to Emily today.
Because I know sometimes our contract, and I hate bidding, the contract is, they have 30 days to.
It's not in there.
So I spoke with Emily today, and we will create an invoice for the hay that he took last year. So we have a paper trail that we are trying to build at. And then I will get something from him in writing stating that he's terminating his bid.
How do we have to handle this?
Essentially, that's it. That's the discussion we had. My understanding is that although it was a 5-year bid, there was never actually a written contract signed with Mr. McAllister. So I would recommend the next time we do that, you have a written contract signed by the individual that we can hold them to, but certainly he needs to be responsible for what he's already taken from the city and indicated that he would pay for. So we need to create a formal invoice for him and get that sent out and see what his response is. And if he won't give us some written indication that he's terminating the contract, we'll have to rely on the individuals who were at the meeting. But I would prefer that the city get it in writing that he's no longer going to perform under the contract.
So his brother was actually there too. So it's him and his brother, plus the people that sitting around the table. There was plenty of witnesses whenever he was.
Did we have to go out for bids to cut it this year?
No.
Sounds like you've got that taken care of, and it
Yeah.
seems like like it's an
He's not
emergency.
gonna charge us anything, we're not gonna bill him anything,
Right.
he's just gonna do it.
And he's agreed to this, and, you know, we have to get it done, we're to be in compliance, it's an emergency situation, hay time's gonna be
I
gone.
make a motion to let Frank Casey cut the hay this year for us, and we can look at it next year if we have to.
I'll second that.
All right, can we do this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Full vacuum bids. You read that one?
So I received 2 bids, for a new pool vacuum. Apparently the pool vacuum is not in great shape. It works, but it's not good. It's still leaving a lot of rocks, which is causing the kids' feet to be in bad shape. So Glenn is recommending we go ahead and purchase a new vacuum, and then we will repair the old one to keep as a backup. So we have 2 bids. One is from Vaughn Pool and Spas for $7,695. And then there's another one from Aqua Products for $4,270.
So, Glenn did say on Vaughn that they will come down, repair, do all of the work, and the other one, we have to ship it off for repair. And they'll do all the work when they come and deliver, if it isn't repaired, so that's
We do all the preparation work.
when they deliver chemicals.
And Glenn's recommendation is the Vaughn, the one from Vaughn. It's a Dolphin Wave Cleaner. So he does recommend that one for the $7,695.
We got that in budget?
Yes. So yeah, I am well aware this vacuum has been on its last leg for multiple years now, so the pool does need this thing. All we would need to do is there's money still in the fiscal 25 budget for construction of the new pool. We just need to give Jennifer permission to move this over to the equipment. And we have money in this year's operating budget. So I'll make a motion that we go with the Vaughn Dolphin Wave 120 for $76.95.
And they're gonna fix the spare one
That's what Glenn said.
under this contract?
No.
Or will they be charged a different?
He'll have to fix it and repair parts, and then they'll keep it in the backup.
But do we have to pay for that repair, or will?
We do.
How much is that repair?
I don't know, he doesn't, he didn't say.
Because that's all inclusive, your thing is, we don't know what it costs, so. Are you just saying buy this and not repair the other one right now?
So my current motion is to purchase the new one. As far as the existing one, yes, we will want to figure out what we need to do to fix it. I mean, if it's too far gone or it costs much money, we may not be able to go that route. But it would be nice to have one as a backup in case we need to go in for repair.
We're not voting on that too.
Yeah, no, right now we're not voting on fixing the current pool vacuum.
You just voted on second bid.
Voting on accepting the new vacuum.
I got a first, and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Now we got the park and recreation recommendation. That's you, Tony.
That's me?
Yes, you.
So the park board did meet on the 10th. They made some discussions. There was a couple minor items that they did make motions on, however, those are being handled in-house, just need some shower curtains in the restrooms. And, there was a floor drain that had lost its cover that would allow for the kids to get their foot off into the hole in the floor. So, that's all being handled in-house. And,
And the rules. We're going to need a new rule board, right? So the shower curtains, drains, and rules for the outside.
yeah, so out on the deck, there's a large, I don't know, it's probably like 3 foot by 5 foot, maybe a little bit larger sign that has the deck rules. This thing's it's looking very weathered. It had 2 of them and one is gone. Nobody knows where it went. It blew off and landed in Kansas. So, yes, Dan?
a set of rules on the fence and there's a set of rules on the building. I thought perhaps maybe we had already gotten those rules replaced.
We may have, I mean, I asked the manager to,
I talked to Beth just today, and she said the new rules were on order. So
Okay,
if
I don't know what's on the wall. There was a blank spot over there before, but now there is a placard on rules.
maybe they found them.
Okay, I just wanted to point that.
thank you, Dan. And then the other motion they had was actually to accept the ADA improvements to the parking lot, the sidewalk, and to accept the preliminary plat for the pickleball courts and whatnot, which, I mean, that's obviously still up for a lot more design and discussion, so. Aside from that, they just had some other conversation. Turns out there was a posting error, so the votes may have been null and void, but everything was kind of very minor that is just being taken care of by the full manager and by our city staff, so.
Didn't require.
Yeah. I would also like to just say thank you to our park board and especially to Dan and to Aileen. They volunteered their time for the movie night on Friday, so that was much gracious of them. I know the community appreciates it, so I do too.
Had a good time.
Glad to hear it. That's all I got. Unless I'm missing something. I went through the minutes. Thank you for the minutes, Dan. Yes.
Okay, so you went through the minutes, but in light of us being 3 seats shy of a full board, we did go out and post on Facebook for interest on that, and we had a couple of people come up. Are you
It's
gonna
next
address
on our
it?
agenda.
You're gonna, okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay, I got it.
Okay.
It's okay.
Thank you.
So you have nothing more for your part, correct?
Not at this time.
He is correct. They do have some open seats, and they did have some people reach out that showed interest in sitting on this board. And so here are 2 names that would like to be appointed: an Ashley Wells and an Ashley Kurtner.
Motion
Is that a motion? Is that the name?
Motion to appoint them.
Are you appointing them?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna appoint them. That's what you just said, yeah. Oh, gosh, sorry about that. I'm gonna appoint them. Now do I have a motion?
Motion to accept the appointment.
I will second your motion, Jim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again?
I did have one more motion. This really a big deal, but they did motion to accept the resignation of Jordan Bacon. She has moved outside the city limits, so that's why she was next to the park board.
Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Against?
Yes.
We got the Car Ride Reimbursement Grant Program. Reimbursement.
I guess I'll talk about this for Glenn. So Glenn had called me and had given me this lady's information from the health department. And I guess we are eligible for, the fluoride grant through the health department for reimbursement up to $9,900. If we decide to participate and accept their funding, we have to continue fluoride for a term of at least 5 years from the date of the signed agreement. We have to continue to maintain optimal fluoride levels between 0.6 to 1 parts per million, targeting 0.7, and can continue to report quarterly fluoride levels to the Department of Natural Resources. We have to complete the Office of Dental Health Freeze online training, community, it's a list of stuff we have to complete. Which I think Glenn is doing all of that now, she said. And he has some stuff that he wants to purchase. I thought he was gonna have it all ready for me tonight, but he did not.
I got a message last night from a gentleman, and it's not the first time he's messaged me. He's expressed that he would like to see us stop putting fluoride in the water
And like, I can't pull it up, it's on my other phone, but he said, last night he said that,
Robert
Mr.
Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy and Donald Trump are going to make it illegal to put fluoride in the water in the future.
So, I do know that she had mentioned that there has been talks of the administration possibly, doing that, but at this time there hasn't been any, and that if for some reason that the state or federal government, tell us that we can't put fluoride in the water, then the 5-year mark, we can go away from, that does not apply anymore. But, we can't just vote, because it was an ordinance that was, or not ordinance, it was on the ballot voted in. So if we chose to vote it out, again, we would have to pay back $9,900.
See, that's where I'm going with that. I think that we should put it back on the ballot, because there's a lot of people that do not agree with the fluoride. So I think before we do anything, we should put it back on the ballot, let the taxpayers decide whether they want to continue this expense and this fluoride, which is questionable on both sides of the fence, whether it's good, whether it's bad, and let the taxpayers decide whether or not we would need that.
Well, I called Rolla, they're trying to do that, and they said you have to jump through all kinds of hoops for the state. She said the state has recommendations, but if we wait a little bit, and Robert Kennedy and Trump say they don't endorse that anymore, we might be able to do it without actually putting it on the ballot. So
he's getting ready to have to buy a new pump and some other pieces of equipment just to stay in current compliance right now. So this is what this would reimburse if we got the money from the health department. I'm bringing it to you because it was brought to me from Glenn. I don't have the cost of the equipment, but it would be at the $9,900. So it's up to you all if you want to participate, but I didn't want to not bring it to you and let you know that we have this money available for the pieces of equipment that currently under what was passed, we do have in our water and have to test for it, so.
What's the board think?
I don't
How much
know,
time do we have?
it'd be so much easier. They would just tell us.
I don't know, there's no time limit on this, there's currently, they're currently offering it to us, but Glenn needs the equipment soon, he said.
If we accept that for 5 years, if Trump and then don't do away with that.
If Trump and them don't do it
But I like
for
what
5
Mr.
years,
Pitt and put it on the ballot.
so.
Let the citizens vote on that.
You have to put reasons out there, you have to let people answer, you have to do a whole bunch of things.
If we accept it.
Yeah, if they vote it down, we still have to pay it back.
No, if we put it on the ballot and get rid of it, it'd be a thing.
Yeah, Trump and them to do it.
Oh, they do away with it. I mean, we put it on the ballot, they want to keep it, they do away with it.
Could we hold off on this for a little while?
That's what I said.
Until your fluoride pump goes out, then we would have to pay for the fluoride pump, because we currently have it in our system.
How much would it be?
I do not have that one, he didn't give me the information, I apologize. He was supposed to.
Maybe table that and bring it back to us next.
We can definitely do that.
I do want like, if he may not interfere in this, but I would like to hear what Dan had to say about this, Dan. What do you think about this? I'm trying to pick your brain here, what do you think about this? Huh?
Fluoride treatment?
Yeah, fluoride, yeah.
I don't have an opinion other than the fact that I grew up with it in southern Florida, and I still have all my teeth, so.
Thank you.
I grew up with it in Cuba, and I don't have any in my Cuba.
I think they're just asking to table it.
Do we have to make a motion?
We'll just table that.
No. You just don't.
That's fine, I'll let you know, and I'll give you the information.
Thank you.
All right, next is the EOC committee recommendation update.
I didn't know if we had one or not, so I kept it on information.
Is that you again, huh?
If you have that, you can say it.
Well, I mean, the EOC did meet yesterday. We had a good turnout. Myself, Harold, Pitts, Doug came out, Greg was there, our emergency preparedness director, and our former emergency preparedness director, Rodney Neff, attended. And some good discussion was brought up. I think we have given Greg a little bit of information now that he can take and build off of. So, and it sounds like he's got the sirens back up and operating, and he's more informed on how to handle those. There was a few other things that was talked about. But really, I can do most of the stuff really just between me and Laney. In all reality, just like setting up a city email. He does not have a city email and stuff like that. But one thing I would like this board to consider, maybe since we pushed off the budget tonight, we really need to move this equipment from the current building, I think, to the, we call the old Medco building. Find an office over there for it to be in, because it's not in a good spot over there. Yersay's the first thing I got to ever see where it's at. That's not a good spot for.
Especially because it's become an active for something else, and that equipment is exposed to the
We had a bid a while back that it's too old to use that, so we'd have to go back out for it.
To move the equipment.
Yes, but I do really think it needs to be done, because yeah, for the tourism and everything, it's not in a good spot, so.
Still got a lot of cleaning to do in there too.
Yes,
That also does some mold in it.
Otherwise, I would just really like to thank Doug for coming out and helping, and for the Alderman. And I would also publicly like to thank Rodney Neff for taking his time to come to the meeting. That was nice of him, so. Am I missing anything, Doug?
No, it's good.
That good? Okay.
All right, I'm gonna move on. Police chief report.
The only thing, I have a couple things, but the main thing is the nuisance. Just to let you know, we are working on them. What we have done over at the police department is we take our nuisance and I've spread them out amongst all our officers to work on. They each have their individual nuisances to work on. Just to let you know that by doing that, we don't have a set time that we may have a follow-up time. You know, if we have a follow-up supposed to be done in 2 weeks or exactly 2 weeks, we may not fall on their day to work or their shift of work. They may get moved over to somebody else be trying to pick it up. But we're trying to basically just try to take care of the nuisance without weeks and months of warnings before anything happens. We're trying to get them to just get taken care of right away. So best we can. So that's what we're doing. We're just delegating all that out there, trying to get it taken care of. So, and that's all I have for nuisance. And I don't have anything else other than during our meeting, it was brought to my attention that we have a city laptop that was destroyed. A couple of them seen it there. There was a little bit of discussion of what to do, but where really it needs to be a decision made by the board on how far you want me to look into the property damage.
The reason to bring this up is the computer was physically taken apart and the hard drive was beaten with a hammer. So there was something on that hard drive that somebody did not want us to have, and they destroyed the computer in the process. So the discussion was, do we want to find out, see if we can find out what was on that hard drive?
Isn't it the city computer?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and if you want to file any type of charges for this report or anything for property damage.
Do we know how long it's been over there?
It wasn't there when Greg said whenever he first took over and stuff like that, it wasn't there. When he went back in, it had been returned.
I was there the night that it showed up. It was the night that they put the new doors in. And I think we need to find out why. Maybe there's something criminal that went on our city computer. In my opinion.
addressing the issue with the person that was living in the parking lot over the thing. You guys did a great job. He's no longer there. The parks, the tourism staff sent me a personal email, and I just want to pass it over to you. Thank you for addressing it.
Notice that too. Thank you.
All right, move on to bill number 2179. Have a motion for first reading of bill number 2179.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
You ready? An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city to enter into an agreement with Revise LLC for the development, purchase, and maintenance of a new website.
You have a motion? You have a, all right, motion to approve the first reading.
Motion.
You have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Bass.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Fritzel.
Yes.
Vote to have a second reading.
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Anyone?
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of said city to enter into an agreement with Revise LLC for the development, purchase, and maintenance of a new website.
Vote to approve the second reading.
Motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Fritzel.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Bass.
Bill number 2179 becomes special ordinance 939. All right, bill number 2180.
Motion.
Have a motion. Thank you, Jeff. Bill number 2180, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Cuba City Code on parking restrictions and repealing the restrictions on parking on the west side of Green Street at a point 45 feet north of the northwest corner of the intersection of Green Street and Washington Street, and continuing north from said point on Green Street for a distance of 90 feet.
Vote to approve the first reading.
Motion.
Have a second.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Bass.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Fritzel.
Yes.
Vote to have the second reading.
Motion. Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Cuba City Code on parking restrictions and repealing the restrictions on parking on the west side of Green Street at a point 45 feet north of the northwest corner of the intersection of Green Street and Washington Street, and continuing north from said point on Green Street for a distance of 90 feet.
Vote to approve the second reading.
Motion. Second.
Roll call. Got first and second? Roll call.
Fritzel.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Bass.
Bill number 2179 become a general ordinance 1241. Any more? All right. Bill number 2181.
Motion.
That motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we please read that?
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Cuba City Code on parking restrictions and designating 2-hour parking on the east side of Hickory Street between Washington Street and Spencer Street.
Motion to approve the first reading.
Second.
We have first and second, roll call.
Bass.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Fritzel.
Yes.
Vote to have the second reading.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance amending Schedule 3 of the Cuba City Code on parking restrictions and designating 2-hour parking on the east side of Hickory Street between Washington Street and Spencer Street.
Vote to approve the second reading.
Motion.
Is that a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Fritzel.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Bill number 2181 becomes general ordinance 1241.
That was the last one.
42.
Oh, 12, yeah, 42, you're right, Murray. Okay, bill number 2182, have a motion to have first reading.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Okay.
An ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of the city of Cuba, Missouri, to enter into and execute an agreement with Melissa Mullally to manage the Cuba Animal Control Shelter.
Motion to approve the first reading.
Motion.
Have a second? Roll call vote.
Faust.
Yes.
Albert.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Hurtsell.
Yes.
Motion to have the second reading.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of the city of Cuba, Missouri, to enter into and execute an agreement with Melissa Mullally to manage the Cuba Animal Control Shelter.
Motion to approve the second reading.
Motion.
Second? Roll call.
Hurtsell.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Albert.
Yes.
Faust.
Yes.
Bill number 2182 becomes special city ordinance 940. All right. Bill number 2183, motion to have the first reading.
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Against?
An ordinance accepting and authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of the city of Cuba, Missouri, to enter into and execute an agreement with Travis Pritchett to manage the municipal airport.
Motion to approve the first reading.
Motion.
Have a second? Roll call vote.
Faust.
Yes.
Albert.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Hurtsell.
Yes.
Motion to have the second reading.
Motion.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
An ordinance accepting and authorizing the mayor of the city of Cuba, Missouri, on behalf of the city of Cuba, Missouri, to enter into and execute an agreement with Travis Pritchett to manage the municipal airport.
Motion.
Motion to approve the second reading.
Motion.
First and second? Roll call vote.
Hurtsell.
Yes.
Hussein.
Yes.
Mortimer.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Albert.
Yes.
Faust.
Yes.
Bill number 2183 becomes special ordinance 941. Old and unfinished business, Joyce.
I don't have anything right now.
Right.
Yeah, I have one thing. I'm not backing down about spending money, but, you know, one of our biggest things in town is tourism. I had Gary go out for a sign to, trying to advertise the art. There you go. Advertise our city museum. These signs are 3 by 6. They cost us $80 a piece. I would like to see spend $320 to actually get it in the budget. No, but I'd like to see $320 spent advertised in the museum. But we'll put them up. This is just a sign, so we'll get it put up. So I'm asking for the motion.
Well, I would ask our attorney if we can do this.
Can we?
Well, I think you should probably put that on it as an agenda item
Okay, that's fine.
and just put it on next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to bring it up because we got it, anyway, you had the handout. So that will be fine with me, so you don't need a motion.
Get the tourism.
I'm not sure what you all have it under anymore, I wasn't here, whether tourism or park and recreation, I'm not sure.
It's under parks right now.
But if you can't get $320, I'm sure I can raise it.
It's promoting tourism.
Yeah. So I can raise it.
We'll put it on the next meeting.
Okay, but that's fine, you got that? Okay.
Yeah, all right.
That's all I have.
Tell me.
I still keep thinking about these fences around you know, obviously, we just passed for you to get bids, but I just want council to think about how many open waterways we have in the city of Hilo.
You don't have any that big, Tony. That's a pretty big.
You got Tangle Creek that runs right through the park, I mean, it's like drowning that thing at any given time.
But this is in a neighborhood where kids play.
So other than that, Tony,
And I've seen kids play, you know.
I just,
I know what you're thinking, but.
And you got water coming through the pipe of force.
Okay, we're gonna move on this subject, Jeff. Harold.
I don't have anything.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have nothing.
Lane.
I do not.
I do have one thing. I'd like for the natural gas meet, have a meeting, get Kevin Scowls, make sure our contract deals with Kevin Scowls, and, discuss the future of natural gas, how we're gonna proceed with it. So I don't know who's actually on natural gas right now. I think it's Ray Tony. I don't know, but y'all meet.
You want to set a meeting to what? Discuss the prices?
Yeah, just discuss city garden prices and everything.
Okay.
Okay? But you might want to get that meeting.
Appreciate
Okay. Adjourn. Anybody? You
Motion
want to
to
adjourn?
adjourn.
motion to